Thanks so much, Laura, and welcome to Montreal, everyone. On a steamy night, it is the scrappy Stampeders trying to come in and ruin the party for the Montreal Alouettes as they've had an unbelievable start to the year. Marshall Ferguson, Dwayne Ford, Kenzie Lalonde, of course, down at field level for us throughout the evening. And tonight, we're going to be saying the name Phil Pott a lot. Jalen on the Calgary side trying to live up to his brother Tyson.
Yeah, both these guys obviously have very bright futures in this football league. Tyson's had a little faster start, but keep an eye on Jalen. I think this is a young man, 5th overall pick in 2022, due for a big breakout, much like the one his younger twin brother by 7 minutes has been enjoying here in 2024. He's been amongst the league's leading receivers throughout the season, already a star in the Canadian Football League.
So many similarities defensively for these two clubs in terms of statistical categories, and Jason Moss very excited about the brand of football he has established here in Montreal with Noel Thorpe as his defensive coordinator. And Dave Dickinson loves what Jake Maier is about this season. Said he put the work in, came in a little bit lighter to camp, he's moving around a little bit better, and he's excited to see whether or not his team can answer the bell here in Montreal on the road as the Alouettes limited travel over the next while. They're 4-0 and 4 of their next 5 are home games. The lone road game is Hamilton. They don't leave the Eastern time zone until August 16th. So if you're an Alouettes fan, you're living around, lots of home football to be played as Jose Maltos, the Global, has it on the tee. David Cote out this evening, and we are underway Saturday night from Percival Molson Stadium as it will be Peyton Logan in at running back and as a kick returner for the Stampeders, and bouncing off initial contact out around the 30 as we do welcome out Jake Maier, who talked a lot with us this week about how he's feeling just better in this offense, Wayne.
Yeah, Jake Maier aiming to be more athletic this season. You mentioned coming in a little bit lighter on the year, spent a lot of his off-season focusing his training around footwork, quickness, change of direction, thus improving his ability to maneuver around the pocket and extend plays.
Short area quickness was the term that Dave Dickinson used over and over again with us. And operating in this offense, it is essential. As Maier locks in with Reggie Begelton in front of him. They'll begin off tackle, inside, go right back to Peyton Logan, who gets stacked up and turned around. That's Mustafa Johnson making the play.
Never a surprise to see him involved as we take a look at this Calgary offensive line. Sean McEwen is out there to start. Keep an eye also on right tackle Joshua Coker. Mark and Michelle coming off a big game in which he had 9 catches for 75 yards. The veteran celebrating a birthday today as well.
Turning 31 touchdowns in each of his last 2. And that season 9 catches last week against Winnipeg. Michelle is in motion to the left of Maier. Hard count here on 2nd down as Maier throws it. And it's incomplete. Reggie Begelton, the intended receiver, but somehow, as always, it seems like 26, Tyrese Beverette is right there, and it's 2-0.
Yeah, Beverette, of course, a magnet to the football. This one kind of thrown low and outside as Maier's trying to keep it away from that coverage. You see Beverette pursuing from the backside, but a tough grab to make for Reggie Begelton.
Only team that's better at getting opponents off the field than 2 and outs, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, back in the win column here in week number 5. And Montreal begins, as they use so many times, with a quick defensive stop. Cody Grace sends this one away. It'll drop down James Letcher Jr., the returner for the Alouettes, and a big hit in the open field. That Keelan Thomas, the Okanagan Sun, who made the play, as Cody Fajardo comes out for the first time here in week 5.
Yeah, and great for Calgary to have Keelan Thomas back in their lineup. They missed his effort on special teams. So you see Cody Fajardo remaining undefeated this season. Terrific numbers to start things off for the Alouette QB.
Fajardo's completion percentage currently at 75.4%, highest in Alouettes history. It's been the key to opening everything up for him, including a lot of deep shots. We didn't see much of that last week against the Toronto Argonauts, but it was still a win. 30-20 for these Owls as they begin 4-0 on the season. Happy to be back here at home, and they begin with a run as well. Right down the hatches, it's Walter Fletcher.
Some nice creativity on this run play to start things off. A little inside counter play to Walter Fletcher. Misdirection with Fajardo showing that sprint action to the right.
They'll go for a gain of 19. You highlighted him in the the opening of things here a little bit. Josh Donovan, right tackle, just washed that thing all the way down. So 1st and 10, Montreal just across the 55. They go right back to the running game, and it's going nowhere as Julian Hauser makes a great play. Let's get a look at the Alouettes starting offense.
Yeah, and you mentioned that guy on the offensive line, Josh Donovan, right tackle. Took over this spot in training camp with Jamar McGloster on the injured list, replacing the veteran. I think he's been rock solid so far. Cole Speaker, the latest Alouette receiver to get hot. He went for over 100 against the Argos last week. Many weapons to try to defend when you're the Calgary Stampeders this week.
We were in Toronto last week doing what an inauspicious 100-yard game from Cole Speaker. Just found a way, catch after catch, as Fajardo looks to his left, comes back over the middle, checks it down as Charleston Rambo makes the grab. That's just his 10th of the season. And Micah Alway right there to wrap him up.
And I think all eyes were on Charleston Rambo coming out of training camp. Of course, everybody wanted to make the Austin Mack comparison, a guy out of a big school, a little bit of NFL experience coming in to this Alouette lineup. Charleston Rambo, he's been good, but he's been able to come along slowly because basically the entire receiving corps has stepped up as guys like Philpott, Julian Grant, even Speaker, a year older, a year more experienced than they were and taking on more of that workload.
More than 50% of the targets just going to the tandem Canadians and Keon Julian Grant and Tyson Philpott as Joseph Zima sends this one away. Drops down. That's Bentley Sanders letting it bounce at around the 5-yard line. Hops on it. And great coverage down the field. That time Titus Wohl makes the play. The former Calgary Stampeder. Wonder how many defensive snaps he'll get. 22-19 the final last week. The Calgary Stampeders and Jake Mayer getting the victory over Winnipeg as he was, again, pretty consistently being able to just pick his way through that Bombers defense.
Yeah, and this is a big thing, I think, for Jake Mayer, is there have been these flashes of brilliance for him at times in his career, and then some low points. It's a matter of finding that level of consistency, and I think Jake Mayer has been pretty good in that regard through the first 3 games of 2024.
11th on the all-time Stamps passing list. Next up, his coach, Dave Dickinson, about 2 or 3 games away. We'll see what he can do here early on first quarter. Play action, flips this one out. That's Brooks making the grab, crossing the 20-yard line. And a nice chunk on first down this time for Brooks, who's been lightly used, but pitch and catch right there.
Yeah, and you'll have to imagine a little bit of this play action, an extension of the run game as you see with these short passes. Probably going to be a big part of Calgary's game plan tonight. You heard Coach Jim Barker mention in the pregame, Dedrick Mills out of this lineup. Obviously critical to so many elements of what Calgary does offensively, both running the ball and in terms of his pass protection.
Goes for 14 yards, so fresh set here. Mayer over the middle, Marc-Antoine Dubois drove on it, and now they whistle it down. That was Markin Michel. Little in-breaking route into traffic, and nobody covers more ground from free safety than Marc-Antoine Dubois. He got there in time.
Yeah, keep an eye right at the very top of your screen. Marc-Antoine Dubois coming up with the big hit, such a presence. I would say in the middle of the field as he was in this instance, but you're bang on, Marshall. His range is absolutely remarkable. Usually the fastest guy on the field. This is a free safety who plays sideline to sideline.
You're playing against Montreal. It feels like you got to throw that in-breaking route like 2 seconds earlier because Dubois is going to be there no matter what. As Mayer now steps forward on 2nd and 10. Slings it out near the sideline, and the Montreal bench explodes in celebration. Najee Murray, great play.
Not Najee Murray, the senior member, at least in terms of time with the Alouettes, of their defense, a guy who missed that Grey Cup run last season due to injury, but product of Steubenville High School in Ohio. Coming up big here to start the new season.
Quick snap this time to the Stampeders specialist unit. As Grace sends it down to Letcher, got popped by Keelan Thomas. Catches it back at his own 30. Goes to the wide side of the field, gets a block, gets the edge. Has another block out in front, cuts it back, and wrapped up at the 45-yard line of the Calgary Stampeders, starting in their opponent's end. This man, Cody Fajardo, and the offense have done a wonderful job getting in the end zone. 9 opportunities starting in opponent's ends, 5 touchdowns. We'll see if they can add. Win streak of Anthony Calvillo back in 05-06 and 2002, and Tracy Ham in 96-97. He now holds the Alouettes all-time lead when it comes to starting quarterback to just keep winning thanks to this effort against the Argonauts.
Yeah, and it had a certain feel to it for Cody Fajardo last week against Toronto. That was the last team that beat them in Toronto in the regular season last year. Alouettes have not lost since. They, of course, avenged that loss with a big win in Toronto in the East Final last year.
Fajardo in the offense, I mentioned, great at taking advantage of these good field position opportunities. They catch a strike right here, out near the sideline. Rambo makes another grab, as it is another opportunity here for Charleston Rambo to get into the rhythm of things in a simple little sideline comeback.
Yeah, and may have actually had the first down when he caught this football, but gave it back trying to pick up some extra yards. There you see him catching the ball right around the marker. Pushed back on the play by Tyler Richardson, who's in at that corner for the injured Demario Houston.
Caleb Evans in at quarterback here. Short yardage package on 2nd and 1. And he'll drive the legs and pick up the first down. Let's take a look at the Calgary Stampeders starting defense.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Big Josiah Coatney. Made an impact in his first game, that defensive tackle spot, adding a little bit of beef to that lineup. Cameron Judge continuing to be one of the league's most productive defenders from his weak side linebacker position. As mentioned, Tyler Richardson out of Tiffin University is in at the corner. Demario Houston going on the injured list.
And yet to see Cam Judge make a tackle. When he does, it'll be his 300th of his CFL career. As Fajardo, deep drop pressure on from Mike Rose. He spins away as a flag comes out. And Fajardo uses the legs to get near the first down marker. He'll clear up the laundry here, but nice escapability that time from Fajardo.
Yeah, the reverse spin out here for Cody Fajardo. See Mike Rose in the interior of that Calgary defense. He's a man who's going to supply the initial pressure, straight bull rush. Gets a hand on Fajardo, but you see Cody using his legs well.
Illegal contact, Calgary number 27. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the run stands as Tyson Philpott draws a lot of attention and a little extra grab as well.
Go against the former Alouette, Rodney Randall. Back in the Canadian Football League this year after exploring his options south of the border. Also spent some time as a Hamilton Tiger Cat.
As the officials talking this one over, we get a look at Randall there. Actually fined for a blindside block this week from last week's game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So back on the roster, back on the field, but a little lighter in the wallet perhaps. And part of this secondary that has been evolving for the Calgary Stampeders. And now Fajardo, we're done the conversation. 1st and 10, just on the edge of the red zone. Blitz look coming from the Stamps. Fajardo throws right into it. Rambo makes the grab and bouncing off tacklers inside the 10-yard line. Rambo packs a little bit of punch you don't expect for a guy of his frame at just 6'1", 177.
Yeah, you're going to see pressure come off that side of the field. Great recognition and adjustment from Rambo. One receiver, he sees the blitz go. He knows he's got to make himself available right away to his quarterback. Whatever route was called to just to a quick slant. Nice connection there between he and Cody Fajardo.
And Bentley Sanders, you'll see number 40 coming in that actually laid the greatest amount of contact that time on Rambo is down, and that's significant because on the last special teams play, we actually saw Malcolm Thompson, the undrafted Wilfrid Laurier grad, go off the field slowly. So mentioned that back end for the Stampeders, and it looks like they're going to have to do some more juggling here as Sanders is down. So we will step away while they take a look at Bentley Sanders and make sure that he is no worse for wear. In the hammer, and the Tiger Cats certainly hoping to try and follow Winnipeg's lead and get into the win column, as Cody Fajardo would love to get into the end zone here like Hamilton and BC have done so many times this year. Again, play fake, flips it out, Tyson Philpott's got the corner, diving for the end zone, and they'll mark him out. And Tyson wanted that one badly as he and brother Jalen on the field against each other for the first time here tonight.
Yeah, and watch all the motion going left to right on your screen. They're going to kind of set up a convoy out there, try and create a lane for Tyson Philpott. Cole Speaker getting out in front to block for him on what is basically a variation of a screen pass.
So Fajardo will stand in the gun now. Max protection, blitz is on, gets it away. Wide open, Calgary Stampeders, touchdown Alouettes. His first of the season, finally. After Philpott gets in the end zone so many times, his Canadian counterpart joins the party.
Okay, on Julian Grant had just a terrific route, and you get a feel for his speed watching this one. He's just off to the left side of your screen. Really didn't disguise what he was doing. The defender, Rodney Randall, was playing inside leverage. Hence, Julian Grant made that break to the out at full speed, was wide open from the word go.
Jose Maltos adds on the extra point. And as we're talking so much about the Philpott brothers and Canadian receivers, it's kind of fitting based on how Montreal has began this season that they'll end up having a different Canadian receiver get into the end zone. As Tyson actually mentioned to us this week that he's been using Keon almost like he used to Jalen, where sometimes I need to get picked up. I look to my guy, and he gives me a big play, and I get excited. I want to do something special on the field. Here's the touchdown drive, fueled by a 36-yard punt return that got the party started.
Yeah, good field position always helps, but you see all the receivers getting involved here. And again, Cody Fajardo back to 100% health and using his legs to not only extend plays, but to make plays. As he did there, here's Tyson Philpott setting it up on the doorstep, and his adopted twin brother, Julian Grant, with the major.
6 plays, 44 yards in under 3 minutes. And good to see Keon Julian Grant healthy. That's the biggest thing. He said to us last week going into the Argos game that he just wants to play every game this year. If he does, that's not going to be the last time you'll see him catching a football in the end zone. As Calgary set to receive here, Peyton Logan, his second kick return of the ball game. Already out across the 35, 40, spins back into traffic as Tyrese Beverett is going to add on to his special teams tally alongside Jose Maltos as Jake Mayer comes back out in 23 verse 24, and it's feeling a lot different right now for number 12.
Yeah, and this is great to see for Jake Mayer and the Calgary Stampeders. And part of this is just the recognition on his own part, as Dave Dickinson alluded to with us this week, of recognizing what he needed to do better and taking the action to make that happen.
With motion around him and a former teammate in Isaac Adeyemi Berglund staring him down, hands it off. And bouncing in between the tackles, that's B.J. Emmons. As we see the Alouettes starting defense with a few ex-Stampeders sprinkled in.
Yeah, and we'll expect to see a little bit more of Avery Ellis tonight. Sean Lemon suspended this week by the Canadian Football League. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Darnell Sankey, of course, looked at to provide leadership, former Stampeder in the middle of this defense. Deontay Ruffin, again, another former Stampeder, doing a terrific job at that boundary half spot. So Wesley Sutton has yet to play this season, but the Alouettes haven't missed a beat with the depth they've accumulated.
There, pulls it out of the running back's stomach, flips it out, and it is a big hit right there at the original line of, it's about 4 or 5 yards up, but Reggie Begelton got knocked sideways real quick that time, as Begelton does extend his game catch streak from 55 to 56. Last game without a catch was September 28th, 2018, but man, he paid the price on that one.
Well, he sure did. Darnell Sankey flowing to the football on that one, plays the role of hammer to Begelton's nail. The good news is you dodged Tyrese Beverett. The bad news is he's got a friend.
give it to Jalen Philpott here. Trying to design something to get Jalen involved in the flow and rhythm of this game as he's up around the 50-yard line. And it'll be a gain of about 4.5, 5 yards.
And Jalen Philpott has been regularly involved in the Stampeders run game. Get 1 or 2 carries per game for him. You see them try to, again, find different ways to attack this Montreal defense, keep them honest, defending every gap, coming at them with different potential ball carriers, as you see twin brother Tyson on the Owls bench.
There with 4 receivers to his left, hands it off, trying to go right down that right hash, but being stopped shy of the first down marker. The running game trying to get churning here, and it's Peyton Logan again getting another touch. Also got to say, one of the more entertaining things so far is the former Stampeder Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, defensive end now for the Alouettes, signing in free agency. Noel Thorpe just gave him a role, it looks like tonight, Dwayne, of just wandering around and trying to cause havoc.
Yeah. This is part of Noel Thorpe's middle of the night scrawlings on his notepad that he talked to us about a little bit this week. Sometimes you get an idea, you want to put it on paper before you lose it.
Stampeders with Tommy Stevens in at quarterback. They're 6 of 6. Now 7 of 7 in 3rd and short, and Stevens opens up the wheels. We've seen this before from Tommy. He finally gets pushed out of bounds, but you don't expect the wheels to churn like that on the diesel. But Tommy Stevens, a huge run down the left side. There's just nobody home.
You're looking at this play going, it's 3rd and 1. Just get the first down. Just get the first down. Oh, go!
You know what, Tommy? Keep running.
Yeah, I mean, great feel by Tommy Stevens, right? A lot of guys here would have panicked, may have felt that they just need to dip the shoulder and fall forward and get that first down. He saw an opportunity to turn it into something much bigger and put his team in position to score. Great heads-up play from the backup quarterback.
39 yards, takes it all the way down to the 7. Mayer back into the ball game. 4 receivers to his right. Mayer shifts right, back to left, now leads over the middle. And a big hit, could see that one getting lined up the whole way by Darnell Sankey looking to punish. And it's incomplete.
Darnell Sankey playing against a lot of former teammates over there on the Calgary side, but no doubt where his allegiance lies the way he's laying the lumber today.
You gotta think that's one where Peyton Logan says in film, just put it on me when we're down there, okay? Yeah. And I think that's what Dave Dickinson's probably saying too. Maybe upset about the shot by Sankey, but regardless, no harm, no foul. 2nd and goal. Mayer, inside handoff, Peyton Logan driving down inside the 5, and he'll be stopped shy. And now it creates 3rd and goal, and Tommy Stevens is already 5 yards off the sideline, ready to go.
Yeah, very nearly a touchdown here for Peyton Logan. Just tripped up. I think it was Beverett that got into his legs a little bit there, but forward momentum carried him into the end zone.
Dickinson talks it over with Jake Mayer. Tommy Stevens is in the ball game. Dylan Wynn, Mustafa Johnson, Derek Wigan, another former Stampeder, all dig in on the defensive line. 3rd and goal from the 1. Stevens goes right side this time, trying to get there. Did he? Touchdown, Stamps. It was not easy. Took all 3 downs with goal to go, but Stevens gets the spike, and Calgary's on the board.
Tommy Stevens manages to keep his feet. Big body, keeps driving. A little bit of a push from a few of his offensive linemen to help him get there on that 2nd effort. The Stampeders punch it in and now look to even the score with the extra point.
Stevens, such a good job that time. 2nd, 3rd, 4th effort. Marc-Antoine Dequoy, anytime he gets involved in the running game, he's pretty good at dragging people backwards. The problem is, Tommy Stevens is 6'5", 241. It's not your average backup quarterback that's pushing his way through. As 8 plays, 65 yards in under 5 minutes time. And the response from the Calgary Stampeders, as expected. Tommy Stevens winds it up and punishes the Wilson. Noel Thorpe frustrated as it's 7-7 early on. Stamps and out.
And so this leaves Jalen to be extra motivated to one-up his twin brother this season.
Yeah, thank you, Kenzie. They are highly motivated tonight as James Letcher Jr. returns this one across the 30. And there's flags down in behind the play. Really physical special teams game here early on, but there's no doubt that the heartstrings are being tugged in multiple directions with, I don't know, 10, 15 family members.
Montreal number 9.
In attendance.
10-yard penalty.
Pauline there.
First down.
He decided to go with the Stampeders jersey Alouettes hat, or his dad went for the more traditional I love my kids jersey split.
Split it right down the middle. And of course you look at the cap, the initials, big C for Corey. Dad is former CFL star, running back with the BC Lions. J for Jalen, T for Tyson. It's a pretty good trio. Not bad bloodlines right there.
How did Colleen make the decision? Could it have been an Owls jersey, a Stamps hat? Was it, what was? How do you make that choice?
I don't know the process.
There is no wrong answer when you're picking between these two, which was actually something we talked about with Dave Dickinson of what was the differentiator when you were drafting? Like, how close were you in Calgary to actually taking Tyson instead of Jalen? He said, I don't know, man. Jalen had a couple more injuries, so we took Jalen.
Yeah.
Fajardo and the Alouettes offense with Tyson Philpott on the field. Go back to the air and on cue. There is number 6, big hit this time as Brandon Dozier makes the tackle. Dad refusing to give up the crown athletically in this family.
Yeah, we talked to the boys a little bit about it this week, and they suggested, growing up, Dad was part of the competition too. It was a three-way thing, as he apparently refuses to admit that his boys might be able to beat him in a race to this day.
Short yardage team is in for the Alouettes here with Caleb Evans in the fold. There's Tyson, an explosive start to the year. Backed up deep in their own end, they go for it, and Evans has got that. No problem whatsoever. But the Montreal record for receiving yardage in a season, Hal Patterson in 1956 had 1,900. And right now, Philpott is on pace for somewhere in and around that range, if and hopefully he can stay healthy all season long.
Yeah, the question became, with the departure of Austin Mack in the offseason, who would become the #1 receiver in Montreal? And I'm not sure it's been decided, but it's nice to see a couple of young guys battling it out. Former high draft picks for this team in Philpott and Julian Grant.
Last play of the first quarter, barring penalty here as they get it on a little swing screen to Tyson. And he adds to his stellar catch percentage on the year. Came into tonight catching 85% of his targets. Most intriguing thing to me, the brothers talked about copying each other. Tyson saying, I watch how Jalen runs his routes. How'd he get open? How do I use it? Well, these two teams are acting like twins right now as well. Back and forth, 7-7 as we continue into the second quarter in Montreal. These two teams kind of acting like each other. They're both very high in a ton of statistical categories coming into this game, Dwayne, but when you look at the actual way that the quarterbacks have been acting early on and being so efficient and consistent, like these, it's not mirror images, but these two teams are taking on very similar roles in the CFL this year.
Yeah, and obviously in a 9-team league, sometimes you're going to see things that work for one team being implemented by others. Montreal's success not to suggest that it wasn't the way that Calgary was going to play with Jake Mayer at quarterback, but you're going to see a lot of similarities throughout various teams in the league with that quick passing game this season.
Completion percentage at crazy rates across the CFL as a whole. Quarterback efficiency numbers as well. But a lot of short passing happening around the Canadian Football League, almost 2/3 coming under 9 yards. And we saw that in the Argos Owls game last Friday in Toronto. There was not a pass beyond 7 yards depth in the first half of that game as Fajardo looks to his left, rips this one, and Tyson's just getting all the targets at this point. In breaking route, fumble, it's on the ground, and Calgary is on top of it. Trey Roberson lands on the football, and the rare Alouettes turnover.
And you had a sense as Tyson Philpott caught this football that he was kind of heading right into the teeth of the monster. Right here, the heart of that Calgary Stampeder defense where pursuit was coming from. Looked like Julian Hauser, the defensive end, running to the football as you always coach your D-line to do. Coming up with the big hit to jar that one free.
And now the Alouettes on the board in a category they didn't want to, which is fumbles lost. They were the only team coming into week 5 that had not lost a fumble yet. And it will be a great field position situation for Jake Maier and the Stampeders offense. They've had 6 opportunities starting on their opponent's side of midfield. 0 touchdowns. See if they can change that here. Is making it to BJ Emmons, flipping it out underneath. Markin Michel is wrapped up by Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund.
You mentioned it as we see the short passing game once again, Marshall, some of the numbers. And one of the things that stood out to me as you look through the Calgary Stampeders statistics thus far, they're team leaders in yards per catch this year. Running backs, Dedrick Mills and their fullback, Lucas Robertson, who are both over 13. No one else even that high.
They're stayed in here in short yardage, second and a full 2. They tried to go to the line quickly, but Montreal was not fooled whatsoever.
And I think the desire for Calgary, when you think about the first quarter and how they scored their touchdown, I mean, that was the success of Tommy Stevens and the short yardage unit that you would think it would be automatic. Short yardage situation, you're going to bring them in. But they're trying to mix it up a little bit, keep Montreal off balance. That's taking a page from Noel Thorpe's own book.
Yep.
Right? Don't establish a pattern that they can predict what you're doing. And I think that's kind of what that short yardage attempt was about.
Stevens and the Heavies dig in here once again. Leaning to the right-hand side. Had to work for it, but it looks like the spot will give him the first down yardage required. As he peels himself off the top of the pile, and Stevens signals yes, as the officials will follow.
And with that big run that he had to the outside, you can just imagine the impact that that has on the Montreal short yardage defense, where typically, intuitively, you're thinking short yardage, everyone's just squeezing down to protect inside gaps. Tommy Stevens is going to keep them honest with runs like that first one he had.
16 rushing touchdowns in Stevens' career. Peyton Logan back in the backfield here. A little token fake to him. Now check it down underneath, and another big hit. Dubois flying around down from his free safety spot. And I say he's playing free safety, but who's actually playing any position in this Alouettes defense?
Yeah, always tough to say. And as you notice, Montreal goes with a 3-man front, 3-man rush here. So you've got 9 guys in coverage. We're basically saying, you know, yeah, go ahead, throw the ball. You're not going to have anywhere to go.
Great response from Noel Thorpe to your question this week, Dwayne, about the creative process. He said, well, everyone thinks that Tyrese Beveret's a weak side line. He's not. I don't know where anybody's actually playing. We'll see where they line up here as Maier gets it out quickly. It's complete to Reggie Begelton across the 20. And Reggie dives down to about the 13-yard line. As Begelton, simple little pitch and catch, but earning it after making the grab.
Yeah, and Calgary is going to go quads to the field side. Reggie Begelton, the inside man. The other 3 guys just setting up to block for him on the screen. They do a nice job of it, allowing number 84 to pick up the first down.
The Alouettes facing something that they haven't much at all throughout this season. Trailing in a football game. They just haven't had to go through much of it this year. 5 minutes total. In this season, they've been behind. Can Calgary put them in that spot now? It's a completion of Peyton Logan, but once again, the rallying Alouettes defense with Tyrese Beveret there to pull him back.
Yeah, and I just want to continue on the thought that you started earlier, Marsh, about Noel Thorpe and that breaking the mold, basically. That, yeah, traditionally you think about offense and defense, and there's an aspect of offense that is about identifying who's playing certain positions and where is that person lined up. Noel Thorpe makes that very difficult to do, the way he kind of puts the names in a hat, shakes it around, and lines them up wherever.
Just a nightmare for a quarterback to have to identify people. As here, Maier flips to the right, comes back to the left, and they'll send this one straight into the Percival Molson turf. As right on cue, they bailed the defensive end Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund out into a zone, and it was exactly where Maier was looking.
Yeah, that unexpected play based on the lineup. You expect certain things to be open, right? You expect that DN to be open, or excuse me, DN to be rushing flat to be open. As a result, they drop the DN and take that away, and suddenly you're reeling a little bit as a quarterback.
There's Rene Paredes, who had the walk-off last week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As this one comes from 22 out. Easy mode for Rene as El Matador adds on to his career tally. On a beautiful night here, Saturday in Montreal, 10-7. An annual tradition unlike any other. Shark Week. As it is superhero night here in Montreal.
It's weird that Mario and Luigi aren't sitting together.
Some conflict that we don't know about.
Falling out.
Off the field issues. Unlike the Philpots. Fajardo takes the run, flips it out. Walter Fletcher takes the grab, crosses the 50-yard line and out to midfield. As Fajardo, the dual threat, leads to a 15-yard gain. There is a flag out in front of the Alouettes bench.
Illegal contact, Calgary. That penalty is declined. First down.
Yeah, they get two backs in there. Jeshrin Antwi in the backfield carrying out the run fake. Montreal looks to take advantage of the versatility of Walter Fletcher, moving him around a little bit within that offensive set.
Again, little run fake. Keon Julian Grant, who had the major earlier, makes the grab here. Walter Fletcher, been a great part of this offense so far this season. A little screen pass touchdown back against the Edmonton Elks earlier this year, but on the ground, he's been setting the tone in a great pairing with Cody Fajardo's running ability.
Yeah, and it's an interesting mix that the Alouettes have in that backfield this year, of course, with William Stanback moving on, doing his thing with the BC Lions this season. Walter Fletcher gives a little bit of a different look, but the Alouettes also able to work in a little bit of Jeshrin Antwi and Sean Thomas Erlington as well.
Pressure look here over the middle, intercepted. Fajardo picked off, coming back the other way. The Stampeders get a block or two. It's Bentley Sanders. We saw him get dinged earlier. He was feeling his hand and trying to get the numbness to go away. Well, he can feel every part of that football. Fajardo, again, the rare interception. Looking for Reggie White. Bentley steps in.
Bentley Sanders, safety, the man of the moment. He's playing deep on this one. You're going to see the number 3 receivers basically running a little in route in front of him. Keep your eyes on the safety, because this is just a great read and break to the football. Doesn't start dropping because he doesn't feel threatened. He's just hanging in, sees that ball coming, and steps underneath to take it away from the receiver.
Fajardo 10 of 10. Before that throw goes his 3rd interception of the season as Mayer takes to the right, turns back to the left, gets into the hands of Brooks, turning back around the 45-yard line as a flag does come out. Teams with more turnovers this season are 3 and 10, and now the Alouettes on home field, they are down 2-0 in the turnover department.
Holding, Calgary number 80, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Martin Michel gets the call that time, trying to block on the edge for Brooks.
And Mark and Michel lining up in the slot. Again, going quads to that field side, setting up a different version of the screen this time. Just hanging on a little bit too long as Brooks went to the sidelines. His man got on his outside shoulder.
There with a full running Dylan Wynn into the line of scrimmage. Flips it out. It is complete to Mark and Michel. Really working the edges right now, the Calgary Stampeders, just trying to get it anywhere away from Darnell Sankey and Tyrese Beverette.
Well, we've seen that look you mentioned a couple of times on this series already, with Dylan Wynn kind of starting a yard or so off the ball, picking one side or the other, and just hitting the line running. A big old battering ram working that offensive line.
Not hard to recruit him to come play for Noel Thorpe and the Montreal Alouettes. Mutual appreciation of that type of physical football as Jake Mayer hits the back of his drop, flips it out. It is complete. B.J. Emmons puts his shoulder down into Marc-Antoine Dequoy. And big collision that time as Emmons has a word on 2nd and long. A huge chunk of it back.
And I love Emmons' approach as the ball carrier on this one. You don't have to just take the hit. You can give a little punishment, too. Good collision there between a couple of tough football players.
Pads are popping on Saturday night as Emmons out of Florida Atlantic University, 6 foot 224. Tommy Stevens in the huddle, and now Dequoy getting looked at. It's one of those hits that you see, and it doesn't matter what the shoulder pads can do to protect you. It's just certain amounts of contact that you are going to feel no matter what, as Emmons goes right into the kitchen of Tyrese Beverett and Darnell Sankey, who has a word.
I'm feeling a little bit like it's the hockey mentality right now, right? One of your guys takes a big hit, somebody else is going to step up and defend him, and you know Darnell Sankey will take up that battle in a hurry.
We saw Bentley Sanders kind of motioning the same way. You know, stinger is the term everyone uses, up into that shoulder and kind of get the tingling in the hand after big contact. And Sanders came back, got the interception, but Marc-Antoine Dequoy getting looked at by the training staff of the Alouettes. As the Owls a little bit on their heels here at home, will step aside as he gets looked at. Off the field and heads toward, looks like the locker room there. We'll get an update on his availability when we can. Right now, it's third down, and Tommy Stevens is going to look to throw. Coming out of the injury timeout, Markin Michel wide open, jumps back inside and wrapped up inside the 20-yard line. So Tommy Stevens with a 30-plus yard run and now a completion on third down. And for the number of snaps he's playing, he's certainly having an influence on the outcome of this one.
And this has given Montreal a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. Markin Michel is lined up in the slot, but you get this short yardage look. Remember, Montreal hit the touchdown pass to Cole Speaker last week against Toronto on the fake QB sneak, with Caleb Evans putting the ball up top. This time Tommy Stevens gets a chance to work the arm a little bit.
Gain of 24, Jake Mayer back in as they go back to the Jalen Philpott running attack. Mustafa Johnson, great tackle that time, chasing down the inside run from Philpott. It's interesting how creatively they use him. We talk so much about this Montreal defense, but Philpott in the running game, not something you'd necessarily expect, but he runs it hard.
Yeah, and this has always been a part of his game, and going back to their time at the University of Calgary, obviously you were going to get the ball in the hands of Jalen and Tyson Philpott any way you could. But even growing up there, a lot of times Jalen was playing some running back as well as receiver.
2nd and 3, Mayer gets it into his hands to Michel quickly. One-on-one with Najee Murray, trying to beat him to the corner as he gets popped out of bounds that time by Bryce Cosby. Got a lot of compliments from Noel Thorpe in our conversation this week as Michel looks like he's just going to be shy, and out comes Tommy Stevens once again.
And when you talk to Noel Thorpe about the type of defenders he's looking for, things he talked about are obviously in a short CFL training camp when you're looking at new guys. One of the number one things is just guys who can pick things up quickly. Bryce Cosby obviously did that, but guys who frankly want to run and hit and offer some versatility, some flexibility. Cosby has shown that since jumping in at the nickel spot for Reggie Stubblefield.
Tension high for the Alouettes here, down by 3, backed up in their own end. Third down, and Stevens goes the more prototypical way of the short yardage quarterback, pounds it down in around the 5-yard line.
Well, I'll again go back to that first long short yardage run by Tommy Stevens in the first quarter. And you remember, he attacked the outside. Think the defense remembers it? Watch how they loosen up on this side when he starts coming laterally. See how Avery Ellis, the defensive end, just widens out and creates a gap for him. That play is huge in the first quarter, and you see the impact of it now.
Trying to do anything to keep contained on the edge there, and easy mode once again for Stevens. Leans forward, 1st and goal from the 6. Hands it off, Peyton Logan puts his shoulder down, driving through Jeffrey Canton-Arcou as the talented rookie out of Memphis gets just enough of Logan to stack him up shy of the goal line.
Markin Michel, a guy who's best known for his receiving skills, a guy who is the Stamps leader with 9 catches last week, but he's going to do whatever you ask him to do to make things work in this offense. Veteran guy this time. big collision there as he's being asked to come and block and seal off the backside in the run game. Good pop there on his former teammate Titus Wall, getting some snaps with Marc-Antoine Dequoy down.
There stays in here on 2nd and goal. The 2 snap handoff, lunging to the end zone, but again, BJ Emmons can't get there. And now it's the longest walk possible in the Canadian Football League, all the way to try and figure it out on the bench. What are we going to do? And there's also an injured Alouette down, but Mayer was making his way all the way back to the coaches to sort out what is the play call here on 3rd and goal, with a chance to try and break the unbeaten streak of the Montreal Alouettes. We'll see if Calgary can do it when we return.
Miscues from the Alouettes and the Stamps on. What's wrong, Paul? What's wrong?
You didn't even get me in the shot.
No, you're in the shot.
There he is.
We'll
There he is.
Paul
Relax,
in
Paul.
halftime as well. Coaches play ball.
Hey, come on, Paul.
Let's see if the Stamps can get another
for
touch.
10 years.
Classic Lapo. So Jake Mayer did the long walk over to the coaching staff, and it turns out he stayed. Tommy Stevens back in the ballgame. 3rd and goal from the Montreal 1. Stevens rolls to his right, decides to head north-south, and pounds it in. And Tommy Stevens' fingerprints are all over this football game.
And this is a good run, good decision by Tommy Stevens. Once you get out on the perimeter, as you mentioned, Tommy Stevens, bit of a monster at about 245. Out on the perimeter, he's up against DBs, smaller bodies. He gets a good matchup where he recognizes, I've got the momentum, drop my shoulder, 95% chance I'm getting across that goal line. Good decision not to try and outrun him to the corner on that one, but just pick a gap and go.
We don't say this much in any matchup, but just because of the size of Tommy Stevens, Darnell Sankey's got to be getting tired of trying to chase down the 3rd-string listed quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders. As Rennie Paredes, with pressure up the middle, Mustafa Johnson got it, blocks it, and now it looks like that is going all the way back the other direction. Is that Kabian Ento? It is, with Nafis Leon and 2 points. Maybe that'll spark the Alouettes. As Laura said at the 3-minute warning, a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, but that time free inside the A-gap. Mustafa Johnson looked like it almost hit him in the face mask. He was there so quickly.
Mustafa Johnson has been outstanding for Montreal on defense here in his 3rd Canadian Football League season. And here he gets it done on special teams. 94 put a dent in this thing. He gets a piece of the football, and his fellow former Colorado Buffalo, Kabian Ento, scoops it up for 2 points going the other way.
2 sacks on the season for Mustafa Johnson, and add that one on. The only team to have blocked a kick so far this season was the Calgary Stampeders. They've done it twice. And now you can add Montreal to that. You're against Calgary, and Kabian Ento getting all sorts of praise this week from Noel Thorpe. There's Dave Dickinson. Not the happiest about that, but any momentum for Jason Moss's club, he'll take right now.
Well, those are the kind of plays that Jason Moss loves, right? Plays where a lot of people kind of mail them in, take them for granted. Of course, they're going to get the kickoff. He wants his guys going full speed on everything, because even once a year, that might happen.
Turn here from James Letzer Jr. They continue to bang on special teams. We do not end a special teams rep in this Week 5 Saturday night game in Montreal without about half a dozen uniforms picking themselves up off the turf as Tommy Stevens finishing off that touchdown drive, 16-9. And again, mentioned it earlier on, Dwayne, but Montreal in this offense, they have not played from behind more than 5 minutes total the entire season. 240 minutes played, 5 minutes trailing. A bit of a different spot for them to be, and here was going to happen at some point, but Calgary has put Fajardo in behind with the interception. Bentley Sanders earlier. Easy completion this time. Tyson Philpott also had a fumble earlier on. Micah Awe ripping at the football. And they'll whistle it down about the 32.
A pretty good job again by the Stampeders of bottling up Tyson Philpott after he makes the catch. Again, just a quick slip screen coming underneath.
David Ford progress up around the 35. Quick slant this time. That nearly intercepted as it was intended for Charleston Rambo. Julian Hauser's got a knack for finding the football as Ben LaBrosse making the play.
Well, Ben LaBrosse feeling right at home wearing red and white on this field as he spent part of his college career playing for McGill. This, of course, being their home stadium. Montreal guy, also played Cégep football at Vanier College before a stint at Syracuse University.
Wildly athletic. Enjoyed watching him perform at the CFL Combine this year in Winnipeg. Drafted high and making plays here in the CFL regular season as Eric Brooks back to return, heads for the field side of things once again, has the speed, runs away from Jeffrey Andrews, cuts it back, and he'll be brought down. What a tackle that time. Joseph Zima was the last line of defense as Eric Brooks added a little bit of pop to a Stampeders return game that's been struggling early on this season.
Yeah, nice looking return from Brooks as he gets to show off his speed. But I also want to give a lot of credit to the play by Zima as he's able to turn that one back inside, not let the speedy Brooks get to the sideline on him where he'd have been gone.
Calgary needs to take a timeout here. Dave Dickinson not happy about it as Jake Mayer and the offense will regroup.
A lot of credit to Dave Dickinson and the Calgary Stampeders offense in this ball game as we found ourselves talking a lot about their backup quarterback, Tommy Stevens. Yeah. And, you know, to me, this is about game plan, but also understanding your roster, understanding all of the assets that you have on your roster, not getting locked into, well, Jake Mayer's our quarterback. Jake Mayer has to be the guy throwing the ball or has to be the guy on the field. Tommy Stevens brings some unique things that can be difficult for defenses to defend, and we've seen that here in the first half.
Yeah, it requires no ego from Jake Mayer. That's not an issue. He just wants to win football games. He'll flip it out. Complete. Peyton Logan gets the corner and gets pushed out of bounds near the Montreal bench that time. Tyrese Beverett, as always, right there to make the play.
Again, look with the two American backs in the ball game. Peyton Logan and B.J. Emmons in for that one. Little misdirection. Run look to Emmons before dumping that one off to Peyton Logan in the flat.
Two teams have split their last 16 matchups since 2014. Back and forth battle here in the first half. As Logan takes the rock this time, fires the Pistons off to the races, and he'll get pushed out of bounds. Najee Murray is the one that finally catches up to Logan after all of those quick little flat catches and getting beat up by Peyton Logan earlier on. He gets a little bit of breathing room this time for a gain of 42.
A nice burst here from Peyton Logan. Dylan Wynn's trying to get there. Right in the hole, but just unable to get off the block. Not sure if there might have been a little bit of a clutch there, but regardless, big play for Logan in the run game.
Fourth straight score zone possession here for the Stampeders. Mayer leans into this one and rips it at Reggie Beggleton, as it is a touchdown for the Calgary Stampeders, extending their advantage here in Montreal.
Well, the always reliable Reggie Beggleton lines up in the slot. He's just going to make the quick bend out on this one to the sideline. Again, the corner, if he's lying backed off, just makes that break in front of him. Easy bit of pitch and catch between he and Jake Mayer.
Always loved the body language of a quarterback who's had his backup, his third stringer, getting touchdowns here and short yardage there, and he just leaned into that throw and ripped it. It exploded out of the hand of Jake Maier, and perfectly on point for Reggie Begelton. As nothing prettier than a well-thrown and caught football on a Saturday night in Montreal with the sun setting.
And here you'll have a look at Jake Maier and just the confidence that you alluded to in the way that he delivers that strike for the touchdown. Nice help in the blitz pickup there from Emmons, who's demonstrated tonight that he doesn't mind a little bit of physical play.
Great shot by our CFL and TSN crew here right down the line as Maier and Begelton celebrate, as Begelton really has become the consistency in this offense that Jake Maier kind of feels like needed in order to get established as the Stampeders starting quarterback. And now you see the number of consecutive games that Maier has been starting for the Stamps. Longest active streak since Henry Burris started 69 straight games. Time of possession for two teams that are excellent at it. Calgary's advantage, 19 minutes to just 9 minutes. They have really controlled this first half. 23 big ones on the board as well, as a big open field hit on the block that time, as Letcher will finally get wrapped up and brought down. But more adventures on special teams. As Bailey Devine Scott, a global.
Yeah, this is a bit of a roller coaster ride for Devine Scott. Watch him coming down here. Takes one right in the mouth from the off returner, but watch what he does. Picks himself up off the ground, goes and makes the tackle.
Sure, why not? I'm here, I might as well do it.
Yeah, and it makes it hurt a little bit less for at least a second. But he's still in recovery mode over there.
Can't blame him. Sean Thomas Arlington is as solid a human being as you will see in the CFL. As Reggie White makes the grab, leans across the 45-yard line, gain of 13. And inside the final 3 minutes here, Montreal will go quickly, down 23-9.
And if that first down play is any indication, Cody Fajardo is just going to take what's given here by the Calgary defenses. They just don't want to give up a late one, sitting off a little bit on that play.
Pressure off the edge, check down taken as Calon Julian Grant sat down and then goes yards after the catch, as always, for the big body Canadian receiver out of St. FX.
Yeah, we've talked about this regularly with Calon Julian Grant. The yards after catch aren't just about making people miss. Sometimes it's about keeping people from being able to hang on, fighting through tackles.
That is not a play that should result in that many yards. Full credit to Calon Julian Grant. This time they swing it out. It's complete. Walter Fletcher trying to get him in space. As a minimal gain up to the 50-yard line. 48 seconds remaining. And what can Montreal gather from this drive? Try and send some momentum into the second half as Jason Moss is all over the radio and the play sheet on the sideline trying to dial it up for Fajardo.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, time to take shots at the end zone here, but if they get into a situation where they're thinking field goal, they don't have David Cote. It's Jose Maltos, who I don't believe has the same range.
Fajardo goes first to second read, comes back over the middle, complete. Tyson Philpott had his first career lost fumble earlier on in this game, but this goes for 10 yards and another first down.
Fajardo buying a little bit of time on this play as the Alouettes will stay in that no-huddle mode.
Julian Grant and Tyson Philpott to the left of Fajardo. He goes right, dumps it down. Walter Fletcher one-on-one with Cam Judge. Fletcher wins the battle, turns the corner, cuts back, down at the 10-yard line. And 14 seconds remaining. And what does Jason Moss have now as the one go-to call to get into the end zone?
Yeah, you'll see Fletcher just leaking out on that one. That was like a screen without the lead blockers, and he demonstrates that he doesn't need them.
Fajardo pumps to the right, comes back left, check down, Cole Speaker, middle of the field. As the clock rolls, they do have those 2 timeouts in their back pocket. Second down. And do they have to send the kicking unit out? The frustration on the face of Jason Moss says they do.
And you know this is a guy who hates to settle. Playing the odds will be Jose Maltos in that kicking team. You see his 2023 numbers.
You just know Jason Moss is already in mind going, I could have done, I should have. He's going through 15 different offensive plays trying to figure out what he could have dialed in there for Fajardo, but we'll get some points out of this as Jose Maltos clears the outstretched arms of that front for the Calgary Stampeders, a Stamps team that has come on the road here. Jake Mayer said early in the week in practice that he wanted to see them answer the call, go into a hostile place, and realize it's just us, nobody else around us. Well, a little support from the birthday boy, Mark and Michelle.
Michelle with a strong effort last week. I mentioned those 9 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. Had himself going early in the first half here tonight.
Markin is standing alongside Kenzie Lalonde.
Well, Markin, your team has an 11-point advantage here against a team that's 4-0. Just what are you liking about your group's performance so far?
We're playing football. That record doesn't matter. This is another game that they got to come out here and play football. We don't care about what they've done in the past. The present is right now, and we here to go ahead and get it.
31st birthday for yourself here, so happy birthday. What would it mean to you to get this win here?
It means a lot to get this win. Not because it's my birthday, because I'm a competitor. Today is my birthday, but it's a work day, so we got to come out with this dub.
Appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
The statistics after the first half of action here, the Calgary Stampeders in control, and you can see the passing yards certainly ripping it all over the place are the Montreal Alouettes, but still playing catch-up, and that's because Tyrese Beverett has been trying to find a way to get a stop against the Calgary offense. Let's go down to him and hear from Kenzie.
Well, Tyrese, let's just start with missing Marc-Antoine Dequoy. We saw him walk away with an arm in the sling. Just how will you guys move forward?
I mean, you know, he's a big piece in our defense, but we have the mindset of next man up. You know, we expect the next man up to come and play just as good as Marc Dequoy.
What were some of those conversations in the locker room in terms of adjustments coming into this second half?
I mean, it's just the challenge we've been waiting for. I mean, and I have faith in my guys that we're going to answer the challenge. I mean, nobody never said it was going to be given to us, so we got to go out there and take it.
Appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
Calgary's last 4 drives, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown. There's not been a whole lot of that in the Montreal Alouettes defense through the first month of this CFL season, but Tommy Stevens playing into it, and a big chunk there from Peyton Logan, but they weren't done there.
Yeah, just finding ways to get it done. You know, you think back to what Jim Barker had to say in the opening of this game, talking about Calgary missing some key parts. And the offensive side of the ball in particular. Dedrick Mills out of this game. We've seen Peyton Logan step up. We've seen Tommy Stevens chip in the running game, another guy who's seen as a backup. So it's a lot of guys stepping up to find different ways to make plays, and obviously a well-called game for Calgary as well, staying out of the teeth of the Montreal defense.
Great to have you with us here. Start of the second half in week number 5 as Keelan Thomas makes another special teams tackle there. And there's a flag down in behind the play, but Cody Fajardo and the offense, really the biggest thing getting in their way has been themselves in a couple of turnovers.
Yeah, Calgary doing a good job holding on to the football. You saw the time of possession almost doubling Montreal up, but turnovers playing a factor in that. You see Bentley Sanders with the interception earlier, was Trey Roberson with the fumble recovery after Tyson Philpott lost grip on that one. So a couple big plays defensively for Calgary in addition to what they've been able to do on O.
Wild to think that Fajardo is trailing when you're 17 of 19 as the Als 9 straight regular season wins. That's a new Montreal record, 12 straight wins overall, which is their longest total ever. And they're also plus 13.5 points in scoring differential. Highest for the club since 2009 when they were at about 15 points by the end of the season. It's been a charmed start to 2024 after the 2023 Grey Cup Championship, but up against some adversity here. We'll see how they begin. Fajardo gets it on the edge to Keon Julian Grant and steps out of bounds along the sideline as we see just exactly what Cody Fajardo has been able to do over this 12-game stretch.
Yeah, just fantastic completion percentage. I mean, obviously, you see the touchdown to interception ratio, looking after the football. He settled in. You know, I mean, he came here knowing Jason Moss's system with the two of them having previously been together in Saskatchewan, not necessarily having familiarity or even consistency in that receiving core. But once that was developed, he really found his stride and has just kept on a great upward trajectory since.
Takes a shot this time into the heart of the Calgary defense, and Reggie White Jr. did well to hang on to it. Micah Awe right there in between Brandon Dozier as well. But first down, Alouettes.
Yeah, credit to Reggie White on this one. As you see, this is just going to be a car wreck after he catches the football. Bodies converging on him. Watch White's head get jolted around here a little bit on impact, but just squeezes that ball in tight to his chest, making sure he looks after it with that first down yardage.
The large eyes when you see number 7 in red and white headed your way from his middle linebacker spot is Fajardo. Isolated Tyson Philpott one-on-one against Trey Roberson, and Roberson wins that battle. Incomplete.
Yeah, the veteran Trey Roberson locking this one up. Pretty good misdirection play. Montreal was pulling offensive linemen, made it look like a run play out to the right, and then throwing it backside.
Roberson with the fumble recovery earlier on the Tyson Philpott fumble. That was his 16th career takeaway. He's consistently one of the best defenders in the entire Canadian Football League. Pressure coming here. Fajardo gets it away underneath. Walter Fletcher trying to make something out of nothing there, as once again Micah Awe cleans up the pile.
And if you like good old-fashioned physical football, a lot of fun getting to watch the two middle linebackers in this one, Micah Awe and Darnell Sankey, flying around doing their thing.
Awe in his 7th CFL season. Go to Texas Tech, earns a trip back to the sideline to get some rest. And now Joseph Zima will kick this away. High spiraling boot. Drops down to Eric Brooks, who has to backpedal all the way to his 15. Now tries to take the long way home. Cuts back up through the middle of the field. And it'll go as a 7-yard return as the Calgary offense, led by Jake Mayer, come back out onto the field. There is plenty of moving pieces in this Montreal defense. Dwayne, set it up for us.
Yeah, Marc-Antoine Dequoy goes out at free safety, injured in the first half. Najee Murray moves over to safety from field half. Bryce Cosby nickel to field half. Titus Wall in at the nickel spot.
Plethora of changes moving and shaking here is the completion of Mark and Michelle, and we've talked about the creative process obviously of Noel Thorpe and what he wants to do, where everybody's kind of positionless. It's easy to do that when you got everybody on the same page and healthy. Can he still do that with Marc-Antoine Dequoy out and Sean Lemon suspended?
Well, and I think part of the reason he can is because he asks guys to do so many different things. Whatever their nominal position is, you're being asked to fill so many different responsibilities. Now you may just be starting off lined up in a different spot, but you're not being asked to do something you've never been asked to do before.
Keep our eye on it here on 2nd and 5. Jake Mayer looking underneath once again. Darnell Sankey right there to tap down Mark and Michelle, who's going to have a ton of grabs by the end of this one, it feels like. But it is a first down for the Stampeders.
Now, I would anticipate as well, one of the other things that you'll see a little bit in the second half of this ball game as we take a look at this play is Montreal loses a starting Canadian on defense. In order to balance that, expect to see a little bit more of Jeffrey Cantin-Arcou, who's a rotation guy, plays different personnel packages. Their first-round pick, the linebacker, and also Derek Wigan as well, getting into that D-line rotation. He and Isaac Adeyemi Berglund.
Cantin-Arcou on the field right now as they'll hand it off to B.J. Emmons. As Noel Thorpe trying to dial this up defensively, chewing on that gum harder than ever this season as he continues to trail, but they have been stellar.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, it's been working for him thus far. Again, you heard the guys talk about it in the studio at halftime. Big part of Montreal's success this season, without question, has been the strength of that defense.
So the offseason thought process was to hit the ground running. We didn't dial it back in training camp. We actually accelerated the learning because we had a lot of guys come back, continuity, and also the free agency pickups, veteran guys that we trusted could do it. See what they call here on 2nd and 7. The specialty of the Alouettes defensively, they'll dump it off underneath will the Stampeders, and cutting back into traffic and getting the first down. It looks like that is Peyton Logan, shifty underneath, somehow finding a way. Darnell Sankey on the tackle.
Yeah, and it continues to be the right play calls at the right time for the Calgary Stampeders. Peyton Logan here slipping out on the screen. Picking up a couple of nice blocks along the way from fellow receivers and offensive linemen. Clearing the path for him to pick up that first down.
How about the sidearm delivery that time from Jake Mayer, curving it around Avery Ellis as they go back to the running game, and right down the middle of Percival Molson goes Peyton Logan once again.
And Peyton Logan has demonstrated nice patience in the run game. We saw him with a long run. Watch for the little kind of skip step he does here. Just a little hesitation right there. Set up the block, then pick your spot and go.
5'8", 195, kind of came in as a return specialist, but putting in great work here. In the backfield, Tommy Stevens, speaking of putting in great work in week number 5 on 2nd and short. Tommy Stevens pushes his way behind the left side of that offensive line, led by Bryce Bell, the 2nd-round pick from 2021 out of Wilfrid Laurier.
The Tommy Stevens unit continuing to have success, and the Calgary offensive line winning most of their battles tonight against a tough group. Sean McEwen, one of many former Calgary Dinos across the league, leading the way for that group.
A couple of former Argos centers here tonight. Justin Lawrence for the Alouettes and Sean McEwen there for Calgary. Little pump going down the field, left-hand side. It's a back-and-forth battle. Flag comes out. Nafis Leon up against Eric Brooks as Leon is saying, what? Is that going to go on him? No.
And you'll see it's a matchup on the outside between wide receiver and corner.
Montreal number 8. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
And it looks like as the ball is in the air, there you see Lyon, a little grab and impeding the receiver's forward progress before he peels off to try and get the ball. There you see left hand clearly grabbing the shoulder pad before he falls off to try and make a play on the ball.
As Nafis Leon, the highest graded defensive back by Pro Football Focus in the opening month of the CFL season. That one's not going to help the grading process for PFF, but he does end up digging back in on 1st and 10. Ball now down to the 25. Calgary barely got lined up correctly. This time they'll float a little screen out to Reggie Beggleton. And right there on the spot, Nafis Leon back into the play as Avery Ellis helped him out, flying out from his defensive end spot.
Now you can see this screen setting up for Calgary. Going to hold those blocks briefly. Keep an eye on Avery Ellis, though, on the left side of the screen, as he just falls into coverage in behind, which puts him in position to make the play. As the rest of the D-line is rushing upfield, sort of getting sucked into the trap. But the play call put Avery Ellis in the right spot.
Jake Mayer, after a loss of 2, 2nd and 12, bounces around the pocket, rips this one, it is complete. Mayer takes a big hit as well. It was Jeffrey Canton-Arcou. They rocked him pretty good that time, getting more reps. You called it, Dwayne. That is the ratio alteration made as the rookie out of Memphis gets a pop in here on number 12.
Yeah, he lines up. That left A-gap coming late to take down the quarterback. But I mean, this has been an impactful young player in his first year. Not a starter per se, but again, in the interchangeable, movable, versatile pieces of this defense, he's been a great fit and has really earned his opportunity. And Dave Dickinson throws the challenge flag, trying to get the attention of the officials.
And he's going to ask for them to look at likely roughing the passer here, thinking that it was late.
Calgary is challenging roughing the passer. We will review the play.
We'll get a look at it here before the command center sinks their teeth into the decision. A look at the roughing the passer potentiality here on Jeffrey Canton-Arcou. 2 sacks on the season, didn't get there in time, Dwayne.
Yeah, and he's delayed on the rush, but when he gets there, you know, it doesn't look like the initial contact was that late in real time.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Calgary has been charged a team timeout and has no challenges remaining.
Referee Richie Miller makes the call there from replay official Tom Valesi in the command center. And Canton Arcou, I guess a nod of appreciation for getting through that one okay, and still the Calgary field goal unit coming out.
And again, just finishing the interpretation on that call, I'm sure part of it being on the takedown. He didn't slam him to the turf, didn't drive him into the turf.
31-yard attempt for Rene Paredes. He continues his perfect mark here in 2024. Cody Fajardo and the Alouettes offense, some work to do. Try to get some of those quick receivers, James Lesser Jr. and Walter Fletcher, out of the backfield involved a little bit more. Full attack.
And leading the charge CFL wide in terms of receiving yardage with his totals updated up to the minute, courtesy of our statistician tonight, John Perlberg, who's celebrating his 29th birthday for the 13th consecutive year.
Now, Pearlie took some inspiration from Mark and Michelle, saying it's not about a birthday, it's a work day. And then he built that board out for us. Thank you, Pearlie. Happy birthday, buddy. As Walter Fletcher pushes his way through the line, Cam Judge comes in and finishes it off. But Canadian leaders in receiving throughout time, I mean, it's a pretty talented group. There's a lot of icons of the game right there.
A lot of icons of the game, Hall of Famers, and former Western Mustangs.
Sponge and twos.
Yeah, not bad.
And Tyson Philpott would like to be in that company. Certainly by the time that this season is in the books. Also like to go back-to-back as a Grey Cup champion. We'll see if the Alouettes can continue to build momentum here. 5.5 remaining in the third quarter, trailing by 14. Fajardo checks it down. Walter Fletcher getting a ton of looks here tonight, and a conversion on second down. And a fresh set for the Alouettes.
Yeah, and I think part of the mission and a big part of Calgary's success here today has been about preventing the big play, right? They don't want to let that one go over the top. As Montreal has shown, they've got different ways of getting it done. You think back to the Ottawa game a couple weeks ago, it was all about the big play. In that instance, the reason Fletcher's open for checkdowns like that is because Rambo and Julian Grant were both going deep on that side and cleared out space.
Fajardo loads this one up, pressure on, and he gets away from Julian Hauser. Now Fajardo's going to go for a jog, breaks to the outside, away from Trey Roberson, and pushed out of bounds across the 50. How did Fajardo get away from Julian Hauser?
Yeah, Julian Hauser's asking himself the same thing. Cody Fajardo strong on his feet. Nice inside rush from Hauser, gets him there. Last second redirect by Cody Fajardo leads to the escape. Watch, just before Hauser gets there, Fajardo starts moving, and that patented Cody reverse spin out makes it tough for the defender to get a clean grab on him.
Hauser's going, that's his move, I knew. Should have known, upfield shoulders. Now Cody looks to throw and takes that check down underneath. Walter Fletcher, 45, and gets a few more yards after contact right there. Tackle made by Tyler Richardson.
Walter Fletcher's busy night continues here. Cody Fajardo and the Alouettes just nickel and diming their way down the field here.
No, it's the hurry up and wait offense from Jason Moss, changing the tempo offensively. Jezrin Antwi into the backfield here. And Julian Grant and Tyson Philpott to the top of the screen. Fajardo goes to the bottom, pumps, now tries to run for the first. He gets it in big contact. Friendly fire between Hauser and Brandon Dozier that time, but Fajardo using this late third quarter to punish the Stamps defense with his legs.
Yeah, and a great run by Cody Fajardo, but also want to note that at the end of this play, if you watch Brandon Dozier, I don't think he misses Fajardo on the slide. I think that what he did was redirect to avoid taking a penalty, quite honestly, is recognize quarterback's going down, I got to go over him. And Julian Hauser pays the price, but they don't give up another 15 yards. That, to me, that was a heads-up play by Dozier.
It's a great call, Dwayne. It's just unfortunate for Hauser's sternum that was the decision that had to be made. But Jesurin Antwi makes the grab here, but get another look at it. I mean, yeah, you do not want to take those end-of-play 15-yard penalties.
Yeah, like he's in position. He sees him going, and you see him kind of redirect himself up, so to speak, to make sure that he's not coming down, drilling the sliding quarterback. It's a veteran play.
No doubt. Yeah, Dozier's been around for a while at this point in his career. Played a variety of different positions, 7th year in the CFL. Fajardo, quick snap. Looks underneath. Zone coverage all over the place. Receiver falls down, and Fajardo just threw it in the direction of Tyson Philpott because he was expecting a flag. You could see immediately Fajardo knew Philpott had been knocked down and just chucked it in the area to make sure everybody's eyes were there.
Yeah, Jason Moss has already thrown the flag. There you see the collision with Rodney Randall.
Montreal is challenging pass interference on their receiver number 6. We will review the play.
So Jason Moss throws the challenge flag. 2 of 3 this season. All 3 of those challenges on offensive calls. At a 4th, the command center takes a look.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. Pass interference, Calgary, number 27. This is a 10-yard penalty, first down.
Dave Dickinson with a, okay. Jason Moss now 3 of 4 on the season. They were not strong in the challenge department last year, but upping his career challenge mark as a head coach in the Canadian Football League. So it is a fresh set of downs. Tyson Philpott gets the call after review, and Fajardo looks to throw, and he rolls himself right back into the waiting arms of Mike Rose, who's been close a whole bunch tonight. And I guess that's the downside of the patented Fajardo blind left-hand spinning move.
Illegal contact, Calgary number 40. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Bentley Sanders, the earlier interception, has the call go against him.
So the D-line finally figures out that Cody Fajardo escape move, but unfortunately on a play, as we're looking at the number 3 receiver towards the top of your screen, inside slot just above the hash mark.
Antwi in the backfield for Montreal. Fajardo escapes pressure again, rolls to his right, throws it down the field, and almost the one-hand snag from Antwi. University of Calgary alum against the Stampeders here in Montreal, but it's incomplete.
And Cody Fajardo got out on the perimeter, and it was one of those where you're wondering, should he keep it and run or look to throw? He saw Antwi in behind a defender on the sidelines. Elected to put it up there. Probably could have floated that one just a little bit more, led him deeper into the end zone. But with his own momentum going forward, I think that resulted in more heat on the ball.
And play the drive here. Fajardo lines this one up, and it hits a wall into traffic as Hicks makes the play to knock it away. And Clarence Hicks will lead to the field goal unit coming out for the Alouettes, is now a couple of times down inside the 20-yard line. Montreal having to send out the kicking unit.
And there you see Clarence Hicks had an interception for Calgary last week. This time just hanging at the line of scrimmage, spying the quarterback. Able to get a hand up in that lane. No INT this time, but a big play nonetheless as it forces the kick team onto the field.
As one of those unique body types on the D-line that fits in the CFL, and you wonder what he might develop into up here as Jose Maltos continues to fill in for David Cote and make the play. And Fajardo shaking his head, watching on the tablet there on the sideline. I do wonder whether Jason Moss, at the end of the first half, maybe regretted not having what he wanted to call in or the way it was executed. We probably went in at halftime, looked at, okay, next time we're down inside the 20, I want to run blank.
Yeah.
Got down there, calls it again. knocked out, right? I mean, that's the frustration of a coach where we should have more points on the board right now.
Yeah, definitely some opportunities for the Montreal Alouettes. Two you mentioned standing out there, despite Calgary having kind of carried the time of possession in this football game.
DJ Emmons in the backfield. They'll get the touch here. Right into the wall up front. Defensive line for the Alouettes. One of the best in the CFL. Against the run, Derek Wigan, the former Stampeder, right there in the middle of the mix.
Yeah, I gotta love Derek Wigan. Had a great career in Calgary. They went in a little different direction in terms of how they're deploying that ratio on the defensive line, which made him expendable in free agency. But Dave Dickinson had nothing but great things to say about Derek Wigan's contributions to the Stamps.
Truly one of the great people in the CFL, Derek Wigan. He heads to the sideline here on second down. Jake Mayer rips this one into the near side. Tyrese Beverett out there alongside Brooks. Gets enough of the body to force the incompletion.
You talk about defenders who are perfect fits for the CFL. Tyrese Beverett, definitely one of those guys. Maybe a DB in a different world, but here a fantastic, versatile linebacker.
The Montreal Alouettes have not trailed going into the fourth quarter in any of their games. The Montreal Alouettes in foreign territory here, trailing by 11 going into the fourth quarter. What do you expect from this Alouettes club coming up in the final stanza?
Well, I expect a battle. This is a team that has developed a lot of confidence, obviously, over the course of their win streak. But let's bear in mind, they've found different ways to win. So adversity, whatever the situation, I don't think it's something that they're going to find daunting, and especially playing here at home. What's going to be interesting, and it jumped out at me when we looked at the statistics for this football game, the Calgary has far more rushing yards than they do passing yards in this ball game. The pass game, they've been efficient. They've worked the short game and so on. But if Montreal is able to shut them down a little bit on the run, obviously, you know, that's going to be a big part of trying to close out the game for Calgary. But they haven't necessarily done a lot that has hurt Montreal in the passing game. They've just kept the ball away from them.
Cody Grace boots this one away. James Letcher Jr. hauls it in, crosses the 30, and a shoestring tackle. That time by the weighted arms of special teamer extraordinaire Kalen St. Cyr. Unique opportunity for him back in Montreal.
Yeah, former Montreal Carabin. And this is a young man who is the son of former Montreal Alouettes star corner Irv Smith. Big body DB. Getting a chance for a homecoming here.
That'll make his week. Might not seem like a big moment for a lot of people, but all the build-up and the practice reps and the knowing you're going to get a chance to dress and the travel and the all pays off right there. Special teams tackle and helps his team out here to start the fourth quarter. Walter Fletcher in the backfield alongside Cody Fajardo. As the Alouettes will opt to throw. Second level throw. Tyson Philpott crosses the 55 and a nice chunk. First time we've seen that in a while from the Alouettes offense.
Yeah, it's been all about the quick game for both teams so far in this game, but here taking advantage of an opportunity. And a big chunk of yardage out to midfield.
And Tyson sending a message on the first offensive snap of Q4. Pressure coming from the Stampeders. Fajardo gets it away quickly. Cole Speaker just inside the 45-yard line, and Fajardo feels like he's starting to diagnose things, and they'll go fairly quickly back to the line of scrimmage as Jason Moss once again kind of playing with the tempo a little bit, getting Cole Speaker involved.
Yeah, and Cole Speaker had the big game last week, 8 catches, 113 yards against Toronto. Has been quiet so far tonight, but this has been a bit of Montreal's MO this season and through this win streak that they've been on, is any receiver could be the hot hand, the go-to guy on any given day.
And a quick conversation here. It looked like Pierre-Olivier Lestage was thinking about taking a walk towards the Alouettes sideline as the officials go over and talk to Calgary's coaching staff now. And no clarification. They'll whistle this one in. You saw a little frustration from Jason Moss as he was thinking about cranking up the tempo on the play call. They'll break the huddle with 4 receivers to the left of Fajardo. Keeps the play call on that he had. Fajardo steps up against the pressure. Crossing route to Walter Fletcher coming the other way. Lots of breathing room. Trey Roberson finally wraps him up, but not until deep inside Calgary territory.
Love the misdirection created on this play and how the end goal is to create space over on this side of the field, the offensive right side for Fletcher. Even the backside receiver, Charleston Rambo, ends up going to the left. Look how they give Fletcher half the field to work with, clearing things out for him. Create a little bit of traffic for those trying to cover him. And let him turn that into a big play.
So frustrating for the defense. Got receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all covered, and 24-yard gain to the back goal in the opposite direction. Here's Fajardo. Loads it up, steps forward, a little bit of breathing room. Now he'll slide down as up onto his feet. Cleanly that time. Mike Rose, Michael Awe, all close, and Clint Dix wagging the Mutombo finger as well.
One of the things that really stood out to me early in Cody Fajardo's career during his time as a Toronto Argonaut as a backup, when he got in late in games, was that this was a guy who could make some things happen, as you see Tyson Philpott calling for the ball. But Cody Fajardo was a guy who could make some things happen with his feet. And I think that was a huge part of his success in Saskatchewan going back to 2019. And I think he's really back to doing that again this season.
Great to see him healthy, throwing over the top to Cole Speaker. Big collision. Held onto it. Touchdown Alouettes. Cole Speaker knew he was going to take the shot. Backside defender came to get him. And Fajardo and Speaker are flexing in the end zone with a huge momentum swing here early in the 4th.
Yeah, I absolutely love this play from Cole Speaker for exactly the reason you said, Marshall. He knows the hit is coming, but his focus is solely on the football. Secures that, braces himself for the massive shot, and holds on to the rock for the touchdown. Makes a play for his team.
Much more than just checkdowns and crossing routes in his 100-yard effort last week against the Toronto Argonauts. Work in the middle of the field, and a couple of times a game, going to take shots like that. Speaker was ready for the moment, and now the Alouettes will try to go for 2. They have not had a 2-point attempt so far in this undefeated 2024. And they're not going to get this off. It looks like some confusion, very slow moving out of the huddle at the line.
Well, the officials talking it over with Cody Fajardo down there.
Jason Moss asking for an explanation as he walks down the sideline. He'll likely back them up.
Time count, Montreal. 5-yard penalty, convert repeated.
And Moss doesn't like it. I'm not sure whether it was an issue blowing the play in or where they had spot the ball, which hash it was. Obviously, they get to ask the team of possession on 2-point conversions where they'd like to put it. And now Moss is going to angry play call. Send in the one that he wants from this distance from the goal line.
Yeah, penalty call. They're committed to doing the 2-point convert, and regardless, given the situation score-wise, they're going to do it no matter where the ball is placed.
See if it cashes in here. Fajardo over the middle, big shot. Airborne Tyson Philpott. And a great grab, but all for naught after a 5-play, 77-yard drive. 3 minutes, 11 seconds, punctuated by that collision. And Cole Speaker play in the end zone here, Dwayne, and again had to earn every bit of this after a pretty low-key game for him compared to last Friday in Toronto.
Yeah, this is a rather mammoth sacrifice for his team. Again, knowing the defenders bearing down on him. He'll take that one for the 6 points. That's what success in this game is all about.
Maybe that's the play that ignites the continuation of the undefeated start to 2024. Calgary has other ideas, of course. Peyton Logan returns this kickoff, almost loses it. Just around the 35-yard line. David Dallaire down there out of Laval making the play on special teams, and out comes the Calgary offense and Jake Maier with just 89 passing yards thus far. Oof.
They have, you see them dodging a bullet there. Dallaire with a couple of shots at the football, but it's about just finding ways to win. There is no perfect template statistically for how it's going to look.
There is an injured Alouette down on the field. I believe that's number 49, Frederick Chania. But 89 yards passing for Jake Maier, and now the Montreal crowd gets into it with a defense chant, and that man, one of the true icons of the Calgary Stampeders over the last decade, getting used to his new digs here in Montreal with the fan support behind him. Let's go down to Kenzie Lalonde with more on Derek Wigan.
Yeah, Marshall, Jamie Berglund and Derek Wigan, very much an elevator role now with Marc-Antoine Dequoy out. But Derek Wigan, 8 seasons with the Calgary Stampeders, and at the start of today's game, he received some hardware. His President's ring, second year in a row he earned it with the Calgary Stampeders. Dave Dickinson gave him that just before the start of today's game. Dave saying he is one of the best people in the world. Derek Wigan, just one of those guys, and he's been a welcomed addition to this Owls defense. A very familiar and similar defense, but the new faces on the D-line has been very much a great addition. When you come into this game, the Alouettes had just as many sacks from their linebackers as they do their D-line. They had 5 apiece coming into this game.
Thank you, Kenzie. And I know a lot of the time when people say one of the greatest people on the earth, that it's an exaggeration. There's no way you can possibly live up to that. Spend 5 minutes with Derek Wigan and tell me you don't agree.
Yeah. Big ball of joy, and that President's ring, that's not a most valuable player award in the Calgary Stampeder world. I can tell you what that is basically a best possible teammate award. The guy you want on your team. And Derek Wigan has been that kind of guy in Calgary. He's now that kind of guy in Montreal. Great career he's had.
Good to see Frederick Chania jog off on his own power as the crowd into it here for the Montreal defense, and Jake Maier ripped into that one, but just came up a club or two shy.
Yeah, you see the crowd starting to get into it now as Montreal has closed this lead down to 5. Making life a little bit more difficult for Jake Maier in this Calgary offense.
Maier now averaging 3.9 yards per pass attempt. A lot of attempts, low yardage, and now the snap comes up early. Maier has to try and do something with it, just chucks it away backhanded. Gets rocked as well, but another incompletion. And the crowd, fueled by the Cole Speaker touchdown grab. Big special teams effort by David Dallaire, and a 2-and-out here against Jake Maier on the Calgary offense.
Yeah, Noel Thorpe in the Montreal D dials it up. Mustafa Johnson leading the charge, bursting up the middle. And a play by Jake Maier as it looked like the snap caught him off guard a little bit there, but getting rid of that ball. Again, not so much looking for a completion as looking to avoid losing yards on a sack.
This place would absolutely go off if James Letcher Jr. could create a big return. They'll try to go down the near sideline. Wrapped up right there by the veteran Adam Konar. And now some pushing and shoving at the end of the play. The horns are out. It's the 4th quarter. And it's a 1-score game in Montreal. George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, 1-2-3 in quali as Cody Fajardo goes through history. It's 1-2-3 and gets to his check down, hanging out on the near sideline. Tyson Philpott will add to his league-leading receiving total with a gain of 8.
Yeah, again, not a lot of big plays to be had for Tyson Philpott or anyone in that Montreal receiving corps. The Alouettes kind of picking their spots in that regard. But just continuing to chip away. See Philpott's numbers now, 9 catches, 82 yards on the evening.
Trying to keep up that pace that he set this season. Staring down about 1,900 yards receiving based on the first month of 2024. Inside handoff, going nowhere. Great chase down from the backside. That time as it was James Vaughters. We always talk about him as a pass rusher, Dwayne, but that was elite run defense.
Yeah, Vaughters, veteran on that Calgary defense, returning last season after a stint in the National Football League. Closing down, he's on the right side of your screen, number 9. Quick move to the inside, slashing down to shut down the ball carrier.
Season ended far too soon in 2023 as the short yardage team is out for Montreal. Caleb Evans in at quarterback, pushes his way across the 50-yard line, and it is an Alouettes first down. 6 of the last 7 games between these two teams have come down to the final 3 minutes. We're about 5 out from that, and plenty left to decide.
Well, no surprise. We're sitting here in a 1-possession game, 5-point ball game. And a blocked extra point returned for 2 points
so
by
CFL.
Montreal, kind of, but looming large
yes.
in the scoring calculations of this ball game, as the score is essentially 3 points closer than it should be.
Montreal with lots of momentum. Don't let the quiet crowd while they're on offense fool you. This place has been rocking throughout the night. Another check down. Another catch by Walter Fletcher. Crosses the 50, 45, and brought down at the 40. It'll be a gain of 19 and another first down into Calgary territory.
And this is one of the things that Jason Moss and Cody Fajardo have discovered, is that, well, there may not be a lot of big plays available to be had against Calgary. A lot of times Walter Fletcher's going to be open underneath with open ground in front of him. This is a guy that's capable of making some plays with the ball in his hands after the catch. Give him the ball near the line of scrimmage and let him turn that into 12, 15, 20.
Big night receiving for Walter Fletcher. This one back to Charleston Rambo. Somehow got through traffic. And another first down. As now Fajardo just picking and choosing which weapon he wants to use to get another first down. This time he calls Rambo's number.
Yeah, and that time they slip Walter Fletcher out to the right, and I think they've got the Calgary defense thinking, oh yeah, here comes another one underneath to Fletcher. Meanwhile, from the backside, watch Rambo at the 40-yard line, just sliding in across the line, misdirection one way with Fletcher and go back the other way. So building off of what they have done with the running back.
CFL passing yardage up nearly 2,000 yards from this point last season. A lot of it looking just like that. Quick screens and underneath. Tyson Philpott makes another grab. Squares himself up and gets set for second down.
That's Philpott. Again, his 10th catch on the evening. But you mentioned that quick game and, you know, a little more experience. I know the league has talked this week about those numbers being up, more experience on the offensive line in terms of protection, sacks thus being down. Also more experience at the quarterback position this year.
Fajardo looks outside to Reggie White Jr. Incomplete. Coverage supplied by Kobe Williams that time as Fajardo, his 40th career win as a starter last week. Would dearly love to have 41 here, but they'll have to settle for the field goal unit to hit the field right now.
Again, Jose Maltos in the lineup this week as the regular kicker. David Cote was a late scratch.
Wonder pressure mounting here as we get deeper into the fourth. Maltos without a ton of experience. This the deepest attempt. It'll come from 30 yards away. Zima puts it down. And Maltos makes good. 26-24 is your score. But right on par with league-wide scoring, around 52 points. Welcome back to Montreal as you see the quarter splits here. Firing the crowd back up to try and get a stop and hold that 0 on the board for the Calgary Stampeders offense in this fourth and final quarter on Superhero Night. Could it be one of the Alouettes defensive superheroes, Darnell Sankey, Tyrese Beverett, who's going to make the play to make the difference? Closest they've been all game. As a handoff goes to B.J. Emmons. It's a brick wall of Alouettes tacklers, including Titus Wall, the former Calgary Stampeder.
And the yardage on the ground has been a big part of the story for Calgary in this ball game. They got to find a way to get it done with their run game here. Keep that clock running. We're down under 5 minutes to go. Nursing that lead.
Second half time of possession, Montreal 16 minutes. Calgary just 8 before they began this drive. A lot of 2-and-outs here for the Stamps. As Jake Mayer with pressure on, takes the hit, makes the throw. Markin Michel will get wrapped up just beyond his 50, and they'll signal first down. What a tough stand in and throw from Jake Mayer.
Yeah, tough plays on both ends. Offensively here, Mayer staying in to take the hit, and on the other end, Markin Michel as he's right around that first down yardage. Bouncing off Bryce Cosby to fight and make sure he picks up 10.
That man right there, one of the people I would least want to see running free on second and long when you got to make a throw. Mayer gets the job done. He'll flip it underneath this time. Get to the speedster, Brooks. Trying to cross the 55, he does. Turns back inside, a flag comes down. And Markin Michel is shaking his head. Are they going to get Michel on a hold?
Some debate between he and Najee Murray.
Holding Calgary number 80, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
A tough hole. Stampeders dig themselves into with that penalty. You'll see Markin Michel right on the left side of your screen, and the lead blocking for Eric Brooks. You can see Najee Murray outside of sort of the frame, so to speak, of Michel's body at the tail end.
That's the second time he's been tagged with that call here tonight. As the Alouettes bench does their best to get the 20,000 plus in attendance into this one and create some chaos for the Stampeders offensively. Again, the environment here obviously great, winning the Grey Cup championship and all the rest. But the idea that 4 of their next 5 games are at home right here at Percival Molson, and they're already 4-0. They could go on a real run with this advantage that they have. It takes a lot to come into Montreal these days and get a victory. Calgary's finding that out right now after holding a lead all game.
Yeah, Calgary doing virtually everything right to this point. Playing a tough opponent on the road. You're coming from the dry climate of southern Alberta into the humidity of eastern Canada. That's not an easy battle to fight. A long physical game.
And here comes the noise. First and 20. Mayer stutters, looks over the top, dangerous throw! Up for grabs and incomplete as Tyrese Beverett and Markin Michel went to war on first and long.
Yeah, big jump ball there. Markin Michel given an opportunity to make up for that holding penalty. Tyrese Beverett, we talked about it earlier. A will linebacker in name only. This guy does a little bit of everything.
Derek Wigan firing through the middle, creating the pressure that led to Tyrese Beverett knocking it away. Second and 20. Alouettes rush 3. Mayer steps forward. looks to run. Stutters, cuts back. Sankey, Adeyemi Berglund, Beverett, Dylan Wynn, they're all there. We have hit the 3-minute warning in Montreal. An undefeated start to the season on the line for the Owls. Up in the booth these days is the general manager of this stretch. Been a long time since they've understood what it feels like to lose. Tyrese Beverett told us this week Pop Warner was the last time he had a win streak even remotely close to this.
Yeah, remarkable run for this team, considering it wasn't like there was kind of a build-up to it. You know, a slow roll into it. They just started winning and haven't looked back.
I say they just stopped losing, which is all the same, but pretty incredible run. They'd like to keep it going as James Letcher Jr. gets possession back for Montreal. Big special teams rally that time, and out comes Cody Fajardo. 2:25 remaining, and trailing by 2 points here at home.
And that's a big kick and cover by the Calgary punt unit to at least guarantee that there's a long field for Cody Fajardo and the Montreal offense as they begin to go to work.
Middlemost and yeah, Kalen St. Cyr back in the mix.
Yeah, fighting to try and maintain a spot on this roster. A young Canadian guy recognizes special teams is often the way to do that.
So after a real slow, clunky first half, Fajardo and this Alouettes offense looks more like itself. Can they close the deal? Tyson Philpott gets things started with another catch here is Cole Speaker trying to block out ahead. And they'll give him, it looks like about 7 yards actually on first down.
No question when you're Montreal and you have a player like Tyson Philpott, player like Walter Fletcher, Keon Julian Grant, guys who can make people miss after the catch. It's part of what allows you to rely so heavily on the short pass game.
Fajardo pumps, looks down the left side, up in the air, it is hauled in. Next to Trey Roberson, the man of the moment, number 6, Tyson Philpott.
And so much for relying on the short pass game. Picking their spots, setting it up, right? A lot of short underneath stuff, and you saw how Roberson was coming downhill to play the underneath route. Beautifully set up over the course of this football game, not just by Philpott, but by Jason Moss, by Cody Fajardo, by the way they have called this game. Dad's got to love that play. Corey Philpott watching from the stands.
First down, Alouettes, they'll screen it. Backside, Walter Fletcher. Great rally that time from Cam Judge to bring down Fletcher. Tyson Philpott, his first ever matchup against his brother, both drafted a few years ago. A huge night, a career night, the most catches he's had in a single CFL game while brother watches on in red and white on the other sideline.
Yeah, a pair of first rounders in 2022. Tyson playing here at home. Having himself a big night, double figures in catches, over 100 yards again. There you see it.
Just a monster evening here. Fittingly against his twin is now it's Cole Speaker going to work. First down Alouettes, 91 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and this is just where you feel the confidence that Montreal has built up week by week, game by game over the course of this 12-game winning streak. Is they've trailed this entire game, but here they get the football with 3 minutes to go and looking like they have Calgary exactly where they wanted them all night.
Cody Fajardo, 13 of his last 14. You think back, Dwayne, to end of the first half, another score zone opportunity early. They just haven't been able to close the deal. They've kicked more field goals than they would like. But Jose Maltos, to his credit, has made those field goals count. They are right around the range, you would think, for Maltos, but they want to be able to get something much larger. This will help. Walter Fletcher outside, racing down the sideline. Touchdown, Alouettes. 30 season where they had only trailed for 5 minutes out of 240 coming in, they've retaken the lead.
Terrific drive by the Alouettes. Impressive run by Fletcher. And here's what gets me. He's got Roberson, does that inside-outside move a couple of times, and Roberson just couldn't recover the second time, couldn't regain his footing. As Fletcher just accelerated so quickly to get the corner when it looked like Roberson had him hemmed in. Beautiful run.
A great punt and cover by the Stampeders. It led to a 90-yard 5-play drive. They'll go once again. 4-2, 0 for 1 on the night. Fajardo, quick set, throws it. Oh, it's intercepted. It's Trey Roberson, and Fajardo tries to make the tackle, cuts back. Can anybody track down Trey Roberson? He turns around, sees traffic coming, and is brought down.
And how big would 2 points have been there for Calgary to pull them into position where a field goal could win the game?
We got people in both colors of uniforms laying all over the field as we get another look at the Fletcher touchdown.
Yeah, you see that second upfield fake on Trey Roberson, where Roberson kind of broke down and getting ready to try and make the tackle, and then just couldn't get out of it to accelerate again. As Fletcher rolls around the corner and into the end zone.
Fajardo fired up, then locked in for the 2-point conversion and just left this one hanging inside.
Yeah, Trey Roberson has led this league in interceptions before. Still got that ball hawk in him as he comes up with a big one here, but the Alouettes never quitting on this in coverage. Reggie White, I think the first man to reel him in, slow him down. Cole Speaker getting into the tackle.
Coach Moss, you can see the thoughts weaving through his head.
Yeah, I mean, it would have completely changed the complexion of this final 63 seconds if Roberson scores.
Thought it was the score, and then it was the health of his starting quarterback. No worse for wear. 30-26, Calgary football. And a big tackle just outside the 30. They have been popping pads all night long on specials between these two clubs. So well coached by Byron Archambault and Mark Killam, and Brock Gowanlock out of Manitoba makes the play.
Yeah, Gowanlock, terrific defensive lineman in his career. Playing for the Manitoba Bisons under Brian Doby. Recently moving to fullback. I think a big part of that being about wanting to get him on the roster to play special teams.
David Dallaire made a bit of a mess by falling down with Keelan Thomas while they were battling, and so nowhere to go but up over the top for Peyton Logan. Gowanlock comes in trying to make the play. Gagne's right there in the way. And Logan remains down getting looked at. How could he not? I mean, that was the G-force impact of deciding he had to go over the top of Dallaire on the ground. Led to that mess.
Peyton Logan along with BJ Emmons have carried the load in the ground game for Calgary here tonight. Jake Mayer preparing to go to work, looking for game-winning drive number 8 of his career.
Cody Fajardo just had his 12th career game-winning drive, as well as quality crowd here in Montreal. Gives a round of applause for Peyton Logan, who is on his feet, as you see, and making his way off of the field.
A huge test here for Calgary's offensive line. They got to keep the flies off Jake Mayer and give him a chance. That was their success earlier on. Second half, Montreal's D has been able to get to him a little bit.
Stampeders only allowing a sack on 3% of dropbacks this season. Coming into tonight, that's tied for the best in the CFL. They've been so great at it throughout the start of their season. 2-1, but now is when it matters most. Three-man rush. Mayer checks it down. It's Emmons trying to get outside. He does successfully. Wraps up the football and tackled at the 40. As Emmons looks like he's got a hamstring that grabbed off.
And this is huge. Peyton Logan's the other running back on the roster. Can't come back in the game for 2 more plays.
Diedrich Mills is already out. And this has the feeling that for the next couple of snaps, it might be the 6 wide receiver package.
Yeah, frequently your other option, bringing your fullback Lucas Robertson in and largely keep him in as a pass protector.
Feel for Evans making his way to the sideline there as all of a sudden the running back room decimated for the Stamps. They do go with Robertson, the fullback, alongside Jake Mayer. He talks him through pass protection. Mayer doesn't try to check it down, though, throws across his body up in the air. Intercepted! It's Ruffin! Crosses the 55, and the Montreal Alouettes undefeated start to 2024 rolls on.
Yeah, Jake Mayer does something that he had avoided throughout this football game, which is trying to force something bigger than what was there. Gets on the move. And looking for a big play instead of taking anything underneath. Spotted for a split second, marking Michel downfield. But it's a long enough throw that the Alouettes are able to close that window before the ball gets there. A big play for Deontay Ruffin, who's quietly been so good at that boundary halfback spot all season.
Soak it in, Montreal. 5-0. And everyone in attendance will be back as the Alouettes, 4 of their next 5 right here in Montreal. Taunting flag coming in there as it's almost 300 days since Montreal has experienced the loss.
Objectionable conduct. Montreal number 66. 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Jason Moss doesn't love the Pierre-Olivier Lestage objectionable conduct call as Deontay Ruffin gets a chance to celebrate on the sideline. The punctuation and a comeback, yet another comeback in the Canadian Football League this season. Through 16 games coming in, 13 teams had trailed and come back to win. This one, Montreal's most impressive 4-quarter piece of work.
Well, we set it down the stretch. That this was a Montreal team that wasn't going to be daunted by the adversity of being behind late in this football game. They have so much confidence in their ability to find a way to win. Tonight they went out and demonstrated that, trailing right from the get-go in this ball game before finally coming back, making plays to take the lead and hold on with just over a minute to go. Massive performance. A tough challenge presented by the Calgary Stampeders here tonight.
A late fill-in duty right before kickoff of Jose Maltos. Kicks a couple through. Tyson Philpott plays the star. The defense closes it out. The crowd plays a role in it. This was, talk about